The Neko Rig has been around for quite a while now, and most of the time people use your traditional stick baits. Well, there's a whole bunch of other lures that look pretty awesome on this setup as well. There are many other full-size lures that look really good on a Neko Rig, and we're going to spend some time today underwater so you can see what some of these look like. Now, depending on the lure and how it's weighted and whether it's salt impregnated, made out of Elastec, that means you're going to have to change probably either the weight that you're using on the Neko Rig, or you might have to change the position of the O-ring as well. And you'll definitely see here in the underwater footage how I probably should have adjusted the O-ring on some different weights. And when I got back to the studio and was looking at it, I was like, yep, next time I use this lure, I've definitely got to position this O-ring differently. Now, before we get into the underwater footage, let's talk about the weights really quick. Traditionally, many anglers use a nail that they will insert into the bottom of the weight. It's an excellent way to go ahead and weight the Neko Rig, and it works good. I have also spent some time using a round ball jig head. I will go ahead and cut off the hook, and I will also cut off the eye, and then use some super glue and then just insert it up into the bottom of the soft plastic. That has worked really good for me for a long time as well. A friend of mine from Northern Ohio mentioned this to me a while ago. He likes to use screws that you can just pick up at the hardware store, regular wood screws, and screw them into the bottom of the soft plastics, and it does a couple things for you. One, since it is threaded in, they hold really well, no super glue needed. But here's the part that I'm quickly falling in love with. I can change the weight so quickly. If I don't like one, I can just unscrew it and put it another one in just a couple seconds. I don't have to try to get the nail out, or in the case of the round ball jig head that's super glued, you know, pull that out of there. Oftentimes you can mess up the entire plastic. Well, this screw method using these wood screws is really phenomenal, and here's a part that's really awesome. They're super cheap. You can just go to the hardware store and just get hundreds of them for just a few dollars. Okay, we're gonna dive under the water here and look at some different soft plastics that you can use on your Neko rigs. And really keep in mind here the O-ring placement and the weight, the amount of weight that you use. But you're gonna notice on some of these lures that I could have positioned the O-ring much differently to keep that bait in a more vertical position. Here's a traditional 5-inch stick bait. This is a Neko Rig standard, and you can see why. It looks good. It has a very nice fall to it and lands in a vertical position quite often. I could have placed the O-ring higher. This is a traditional 7-inch Finesse Worm that I use a lot. It too has a nice fall, lands vertical quite often, and the extra length offers an enticing action that can bring curious bass in from a distance to take a look. Here's a 4-inch craw that is often used on Texas rigs. Right away you notice I could have placed the O-ring higher to get the lure to stand upright more often. The claws add a lot of attraction to this setup. And this is a standard twin-tail grub. It is an excellent Neko Rig lure. The next time I use this one, I also will make sure to keep that O-ring up higher on the lure. If you like to see different lures underwater, go ahead and check out this video here. It has a variety of soft plastics that we put on a shaky head, so go ahead and click on this one. And don't forget to go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.